If you're looking for a great alternative to the very popular Hobonichi Cousin, or you are interested in checking out this Hemlock and Oak Minimal Weekly Planner, keep watching. My Hemlock and Oak came in this cool, I guess you can call it like a keepsake box, but it was also packaged in another box that was almost the same size. So the packaging was very small, and the card that came with it, it said, "Thank you, friend." On the back, it shares a little bit about their mission. It says, "In your mind is all the goodness of the world." And then, in a world filled with sustainable practices, it's time for stationery to evolve and use sustainable local production methods. Your stationery has been shipped in plastic-free packaging. Everything can be recycled in your curbside paper and cardboard bins. Thanks so much for helping us shape the future of Hemlock and Oak. We hope you enjoy your purchase. I thought that was really cool and on brand. I already knew when I purchased it that they were a Canadian-made planner company with a focus on sustainable stationery. So I love that literally everything was recyclable. I wasn't expecting it actually to even come in a little box, so that was really nice, especially considering that when I bought this planner on sale, it felt like the price did not align with something that would like also give me a box. I'm not sure if they have any more of their 2023 planners in stock anymore at the moment, at the time this is being filmed. However, they did announce earlier this week that they're taking pre-orders for undated versions, I believe, of their daily and of their weekly. So if you like the layout of this, you might be able to purchase this planner but in an undated format. Or if you've already solidified your 2023 planner plans and you're thinking about what you might like for next year, this could be a great option for somebody who is wanting to focus on self-care. I actually heard about this planner a while ago and didn't even realize until very recently, right before I purchased it, that it has a lot of prompts and things built into it that are self-care related. So it technically could be considered like a self-care / goal planner. This is their minimal version. They do have another version of their planner that is a little bit bigger than this, and it's going to be a little bit thicker because that planner has a little bit more of like goal setting pages and reflections in it. This one is stripped down. Their other version was like a first, and this is like a second because it was requested that they make a A5 size and something that has like a little bit less. I figured this would work really well for me at this point in my planning because I'm also using another system for goals, and it felt like if I bought their main planner that I would be duplicating the goal setting work, and I don't want to do that. I also am really happy at the moment with how things are going in my goal setting system. I wanted to really get this one more for the simplicity of it and because of the fact that it has like built-in prompts and things related to focusing on self-care. But let's go ahead and dive into it. And I left this on just for the video. This is speckled. I don't know if my camera is picking that up or not, but this paper is a little bit speckled, so that's cool. And then the first page has, you know, this planner belongs to, and then you've got this quote page and a table of contents. And I think this is great. I saw this and I was like, oh my God, page numbers. So this planner has page numbers, like the very corners. But yeah, it has the page numbers on the very corner, and it also has like the little weeks labeled. So that's perfect because there's no tabs in here at all. Makes it nice and, you know, nice and neat and clean. And this is a really great way to just look in the really bottom corner to figure out where you want to go if you're trying to flip to something that you don't already have bookmarked. Now, it does come with ribbon bookmarks, and as you can see, they are plenty long, so you'll be able to just pop it open to whatever page. And right now I have them marked for like the current and then at the back for the notes. So we'll look at that in a minute. So this first page here is a New Year reflection section, and I think this is the only page. In the other version, there are several pages related to reflecting on last year and goal prepping for the current year. So if that's something you're interested in, then I would recommend checking out that version of their planner. And I'll make sure to leave links in the description to all of this. And I'm not affiliated. I bought this with my money. And when I bought it, it actually was offering free shipping. So I really only paid for the planner on sale. And I think it was like the prices on the site are showing in Canadian dollars. So it ended up being a little bit less than whatever the price was. So I think it was like $30-ish that I ended up spending on this. And that saved me like $12 in shipping, which is what it would have been if they didn't have a promo at the moment. So I really got a good deal on it, considering it is, like the middle of March now, and I still have like most of the year. I guess I could have got an undated version. Some people think, why would you have gotten a dated when the year has already gotten this far into it? But I have a thing about undated planners. Anyway, this is really why I gravitated toward this. Like, look, right away, this quote right here: self-care is how you take your power back. And okay, so this part right here wants you to list 5 people or things that you are especially grateful for from 2022. Write and reflect on meaningful memories from the last 12 months. Find words or mantras to inspire your new year. And then what intentions do you want to carry into 2023? I believe that's the only page for like reflection. So I probably won't fill this out because I've already did reflecting in an entire notebook in my other goal setting system. But I love that this is, one really quick, simple way to do a quick reflection before the new year starts. And before I go too far, these are grid boxes, and they are 4mm grids. And the week columns in here are going to be about 3.5 centimeter, in case I forget to mention that later. So the next page is 2023 and 2024, and you might notice that the calendars are a Monday start. This is not my favorite. This is not my preference to look at like a whole month with a Monday. It totally throws me off. As someone who lives in the United States, I am used to a Sunday to Sunday when I'm looking at a whole month. That's something to consider about this planner, is that the months in here, if you're not used to that, that might throw you off. In that case, I would recommend getting their undated, and then you would easily be able to just date that month to Sunday instead of like how it's pre-printed to be Monday to Sunday. This is a really interesting layout. I've never seen something like this before, but it's basically like it says 2023 planning, so you could map out in advance, things that are happening. So you could use this to, if you want to, at a high level, pre-plan birthdays and things like that. You can just use a dot marker to indicate things. You can use some kind of color code system to indicate what your vacation days are, that sort of stuff. The days your kids are off school. You have a lot of options here with how you want to work on that. So that'll be pretty cool. I think you could probably even use this as habit trackers also. I don't know how many boxes this ends up being, but you might be able to also like turn these grids into some habit trackers for the year. I don't know. That I'm not sure how I would use this. And then you have a page of all the holidays, both Canada and the USA. Then you have basically a blank page. They labeled it important, but you can basically do how you want. Well, it's not blank, it's grid. Most of the sections in here for writing are grid. And then you go into the first month. So all of the months are going to look exactly the same as far as this page. So you're going to have first a monthly reflection. So you're going to have a page to reflect on the previous month that just ended. And then you'll have the page for the month that you're about to jump into. So the reflection questions are: write down 3 meaningful memories from last month, and what gave you energy this month and what drained you. And it has a little plus and a little minus here. So there is distinctly like a box here and a box here in the grid for you to, put the things that gave you energy on this side, the things that drained you here, which I don't think I've ever seen a planner have this prompt in it before. I think that is great. And then an area for some reflections. So going into the new month, you have list 3 positive ways you can carve out time for self-care. Again, this is why I'm like, this would be great for self-care. What is something that you want to do or that you are looking forward to? What are you feeling grateful for? What habit do you want to solidify this month? Now, I love how it only says habit, because in my opinion, in my experience, and then from what I've read in the book Atomic Habits, which I didn't finish reading, but I read about half of it, is that when you start a new habit, it's best to start like one at a time and not to overwhelm yourself with multiple changes at once, because our brain just doesn't like change. So when we attempt to change multiple things and create multiple habits at the exact same time, you're kind of like overstressing your brain out, because your brain is like, great, like we just changed this, you're changing this over here, and then now you're over here trying to change this over there, and like I don't know, like your brain just literally like freaks out, and it tries to keep you safe and doing the things that you have been doing, because that's all it knows, and it knows that you are still alive today because of all these things that you were doing before. So even though you're changing your habits to move usually towards something better, then your brain just like doesn't know the difference until it takes time. So I love how they only have a focus on one habit per month. So this takes off a lot of pressure. Sometimes you'll see a habit tracker in a planner that gives you options for like lots of different habits, and this one really only has one for you to focus on for the month. And then it even has an area for you to indicate like how often you want to do this habit. If you want to do it like 1 time a week, 2 times a week, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, this is really cool. And then it has a little space for you to jot down what your reward is going to be for successfully, following through with that new habit. You can use probably dot markers to, indicate what days, and it's actually dated exactly how the calendar is for January. And then here is the full month spread. Again, it is a Monday to Sunday start, and this is all grid. You have a whole grid section over here that you can use to create some kind of list if you want. I would probably use this space here to jot down like my kids' soccer schedule. That's what worked really well for me this past January, was using a sidebar to put their games, because putting it in here would have cluttered it all up. So the box spacing in here is, I think it's 1 3/8 or 3.5 centimeters, well, wide. And then I feel like it's the same. I feel like the boxes are the same. No, it's only 3 centimeters tall. So they're a little bit shorter, a little bit wider, and a little bit shorter. They're not like perfect squares. And it's faintly numbered the next month. It also has down here in the very corner, it says month 1. And then over here on this corner, it shows January. So again, when you're like flipping through to try and find something, that makes it really, really easy. I love that little detail. All right, and then it jumps into the week. The paper in this planner is 120 GSM, 80-pound paper. So it is great quality paper. And I think it would be a great alternative to the Hobonichi Cousin because of the very similar layout. And the Cousin has daily pages, which if you do not need and you just want a weekly planner that is similar to the Hobonichi, then this would be a great option. This layout is very similar to a layout that I've used in the past in a half letter insert, where I had a section for timed, and then I had an area down at the bottom that was more for like me making lists. And I love how they left it all open to where it's not sectioned off down here to where it's like you have to use this for this day, that you can actually like turn this whole section here into whatever you want for the whole week, in addition to using this section over here on the sidebar for things that you want to do for the week. And I also like that it has a little blank spot right here at the very top. It doesn't just go straight into your grid. So And this is literally blank. There's no grid right here. So if we were using grid measurements, I think it looks like it would have been about 3 boxes. Or yeah, I feel like it would have been about 3 boxes. It's 1 centimeter. Yeah, it's a 1 centimeter high area right there for you to just do whatever you want right there. I could see people using it for the weather. I would probably dedicate that space up there to indicating a birthday, something like picture day, or if there was something like super duper important happening, I might use that space for that. So right up here in the top corner, they have the week that you're in, and then it has a little box with the calendar, and it has boxed off I can zoom in. It has boxed off the week that you are in, which I love because usually what I end up doing with these little calendars that are on my month is I end up highlighting it. And this is about the only spot in the planner where I appreciate the fact that it is a Monday to Sunday, because that's exactly how the week goes. And that's how I like my weeks to go, is Monday through Sunday. And so having that go across just straight like that makes it just so much cleaner, because what I would do is highlight from Monday, which would have been in the second column, and then I would have to highlight the one little day over here for Sunday, and it always like looked weird. So I love that, and how they already basically highlighted it for me, and they even like told me what week it is up here. Also, it is written down over here in the bottom what week it is. So they really have thought of everything as far as details and making sure that you can navigate getting around in the planner. Oh, I forgot to point out too, like way down here, it says the week number that it is. So this is considered like the 53rd week. So this would have been like the last week of 2022. So then the next page, it lists as week 1 for the year. So I love that it has, so if you're somebody who likes to do by week, you can use this section to figure out like what week. And it has the moon phases in here. It'll have the full moon and the new moon phases in there, which some people like to keep track of. And that's just how the weeks go. And then I guess I should point out that this little box is focus. This one says intentions, and then you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 check boxes under tasks over here. These boxes, let's see, I feel like they're about the same as the month. No, it's actually a little bit shorter. It's like 1.5 centimeters. Okay, so after the month ends, you get to a the monthly reflection again, and then it repeats. So what I have marked here is how I would use the 3 ribbons personally as the way I'm going to use this planner, since I'm not using it for anything else, like no goals. If I was, I would use probably one of these ribbons to mark the goals in the front, but there really isn't a page for goals. Although, now that I think about it, this page could be used for goals, setting what goals you want for the year. Like if you want to set it out in advance a little bit, as far as like these are things I want to accomplish in this month and that month and whatever. But there's also this blank page right here that you could just list out what your goals are, and you can categorize them if you want. But then when you get to the month, you could use this big box right here because it says it's for something that you want to do. So you could use this right here for like your goals for the month. Now I like that I would consider this like a dashboard page. And in other planners I've used, I've struggled with the dashboard page. It's always been just like a blank slate for me, and it never had any prompts. And so it never was like, okay, this is how you have to use it. And so that's why I gravitated towards this, was because this kind of gave me some kind of a structure for using this area of the planner. Also, the fact that it had the, some areas right here on the sidebar, and the sidebar wasn't just blank, that it was like, what do you want to focus on this week? What are some intentions? and some tasks, and just kind of like bring more intentionality and mindfulness into my everyday planning, as opposed to that just kind of being something completely separate, if that makes sense. So I would have one mark on the week, one on the month, because I would be returning to this if I'm going to be using this habit tracker. And then there's at the back, after all the months, there is some note pages. So this is the last page for the year-end reflection. So after December, the last week of December, instead of having a month reflection, you have a year-end reflection, which makes sense because if you're moving into another Hemlock and Oak after this one, that very first page in the beginning of the planner is going to have a monthly reflection page, and that would be for December. So this is going to be your year-end reflection, and it says write down 3 meaningful memories from the last year. What have you learned and how have you changed? What challenges did you face? How does your life look going forward? 5 people or things you are especially grateful for in the last 12 months. And here's a quote from Maya Angelou. And then you have some note pages. So there are a few. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 22, 23, 24. So 24. Wow, that was a lot more than I thought. And then you end with the back quote page, and then that little speckled paper again. So let me know what your thoughts are on this planner. Did you know about it? Is this the first time you are hearing about it? Is it something that you think you might be interested in getting for maybe next year, or if you might be interested in getting their undated version that they just recently, launched for pre-order? Let me know in the comments. And if you like videos like this, on here I share things related to planning and self-care. So if that's something that you are interested in, make sure you subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.